Welcome to the Dance Studio Empire podcast, a mix of business strategies, simple tips for studio growth and success, with a touch of inspiration, motivation, plus raw and honest conversations to ensure you are building your studio empire. I'm your host, Jen Dalton, studio owner for 30 years, dance business coach, and the author of the book, Teaching Dance Beyond the Steps. My business philosophy is creativity is our superpower, and I believe we all have the means and ability to infiltrate this into our studio. Just sometimes we can get too busy, distracted, or overwhelmed to see that. So that is exactly why I am here to help you. So if you are ready to master the art of creating demand, unravel the dance of numbers in your studio, and run your business to its full potential, then you are in the right place. Okay, let's do this. Sit back and relax, and let's get ready to build your dance studio empire. Hello, beautiful studio owners, and welcome back to this week's episode of Dance Studio Empire podcast. This week's episode is actually based off some conversations that I've been having with some of my coaching clients, and there was a similar theme. And so I just figured that if there's a similar theme going on, then surely they're not the only ones in this situation. So today's topic is about studio owners who are having to have the hard conversations. Now, true leaders just have to have hard conversations. It is part of our job. It is part of our growth. It's part of the rite of passage of becoming a leader. It doesn't make it nice or fun or ever easy. Nobody I've ever come across have actually loved those conversations. Unless you are some sort of savage, I don't know, that's fine. But in the most part, no one that I know likes these conversations. I certainly don't. Now, this has also come up because many of our studio owners are in the depth of planning for the new year, and that requires making some big decisions and actioning them too. So now's the time. So I'm going to actually talk you through 5 different scenarios of hard conversations that some are being had in real time, and some of them are actually with members of my current mastermind. There'll also be some that are applicable to me, so I'll be telling you my stories. But I do just want to say that I'm going to be a little bit vague with some because I still want to respect the studio owners who are members of my mastermind, because some of them are actually currently still going through this stuff at the moment as I speak to you now. So apologies if I am a bit vague. My stories, I'll definitely go into more details for you as well. All right, so these are just 5 scenarios that my clients are going through. I have been through in the past. You most probably, if you haven't already gone through them, chances are you will in the future of being a leader and running your studio. So the first one I'm going to talk about is letting go of a long-time teacher. The second one is breaking up a professional relationship with another business. The next one is having a family member who actually works for you, and then you restructuring the business and then needing to let that family member go. The next one is having tough conversations with your team. Okay. And number 5 is dismissing a family from the studio. So if you haven't gone through any of these 5, then well done to you. That's really good. As I said, chances are in the future that this may come up. So hopefully I'll be able to give you some tools, some ideas, some suggestions on how to make that conversation easier for you. Okay, number 1, letting go of a long-time teacher. Now, this is a scenario of someone going through this at the moment who I'm working with. This particular teacher has been around for a lot of years. So I'm going to say 5 years. But they no longer are aligning with the studio values. Unfortunately, because of this, the result was she was losing students, that they weren't happy anymore, and they actually started to not like ballet anymore, which, as we know, if you've been there before, you do start to see the red flags, you do start to see the warning signs. Credit to the studio owner for doing something about it instead of letting it drag out for another couple of years and then wearing the repercussions of that. Now, this particular studio owner was absolutely aware that this was happening and knew that it was time to do something right now and to move her on. Now, this particular studio is absolutely beautiful, and she was very grateful for the time that this teacher was there. She let her know that. She also, out of respect to her, wanted to give her enough notice that she no longer needed her next year, and so had to have that chose to have that conversation now, so that she has time to look for more work. She also respectfully chose to speak to her face to face, which is another big deal, and I realize how hard that can be as well. And okay, the flip side, the response from that teacher that she had to let go was sort of pretty disappointing, to be honest. But what can you do? You can only control the situation that you're in and how you're delivering it, and that I will go into a little bit later as well. But all in all, the outcome has been that she is still there and she is still going to teach for term 4. This studio owner has done everything the best possible way for this situation, although it didn't make it any easier for her. But that's because she has such a beautiful heart. Okay, so that's a scenario. I've absolutely been in that myself. Letting go of any teacher is hard. Unless they've done something really bad, it's where it's easy to say you've clearly breached our policy, you've clearly breached my expectations, so it's time to move on. It may just be little things, and maybe that you're restructuring, or that you're cutting back on classes, or you're growing the team that you currently have, you want to give them more responsibility. There are many scenarios. It is never easy, so I do understand, and my heart does go out to you. But as I said, this is stuff that we have to go through as business owners, as the leader, and I'm sure you'll do it at some point. Okay, the second scenario. So breaking up with a professional relationship. So maybe it's another business. This could be maybe it's a program that you're part of, maybe a membership. Maybe it's an external company like an SEO company or a marketing agency that you're working with. So this scenario, again, this studio owner was in a long relationship with this particular company, and again, for many years. At the time, it was absolutely working. She was very grateful for what it was doing. But in reevaluating her business, as we were starting to grow and develop her, we realized that the expense was too much versus the reward she was getting. And now she'd actually tried to communicate with this company back at the beginning of the year, but they were actually making it very difficult for her. And there was a lot of poor communication, vague emails. It almost feels like, and I had read some of the emails, so I can vouch for this, it's almost like they were being a bit vague, so it was too confusing for her to be able just to get out of the contract or not renew. They made it quite difficult for her. And with everything going on, it just renewed. And it took away the control that the studio owner had. Now, she realized that she really didn't want to keep doing this, especially when we started working together. And so again, reached out. The emails back were quite threatening from this company, which is really, again, so disappointing because she has been such a long-term customer with them. And the studio owner was worried because they had her passwords, her information about her website, and worried that they may sabotage her. Now, there's absolutely no proof of this. We don't know. But these are genuine concerns that would certainly be going through my head if this was me in this situation, and of course for her as well. Now, the outcome of this is I think she has another meeting this week, so I'll have to update you with the details. But it really was disappointing that, having been with this company for so long, that there was just no consideration or no compromise, when she did reach out to ask for help or advice. But it is hard. It is hard having that conversation. Again, the points I'm going to go through at the end will help you, step you through these conversations. And that's what I did with her. As she was putting emails back together, we were responding together, and just the way we worded it, we kept it professional to help with this professional breakup. Okay, number 3. Now, this is tricky. This would probably be the hardest one. This is a scenario where you have a family member who works for you and you are now no longer running the studio the way it was. You're restructuring and you no longer need them to work for you. Now, this is a scenario common going on at the moment with one of my girls. I'm in this situation, not that I'm trying to get rid of a family member, but I do have family members that work in my business. So I really empathize with how hard and how difficult this could be. And this may even be a best friend or a long-time family friend. Like, it doesn't even have to be immediate family. It's just that connection makes it very difficult. Now, this particular studio owner is restructuring her whole studio. It's actually incredible what she's doing. But of course, she was nervous how her family member was going to respond. And what we did is we worked together and we worked through the different scenarios of how she may respond. Now, the studio owner, she had a plan for her, and she had, some options for her to take up, which she has, and, which is going to work out beautifully for everyone. But and there's so many great things ahead now for the studio owner because she's made these tough decisions. But, she was nervous leading up to it. Again, we planned out the conversation. We ran through these 5 points that I'm going to be going through in a sec. And, and it's all worked out and moving along and moving beautifully, I might say too. Okay. Next scenario is having tough conversations with your team. Now, this is a forever issue that I think if you are running a good business, you would and should probably be having these conversations quite regularly. This isn't with anyone in specific. This is just my experience and having spoken to other studio owners, in the past about, having these conversations. Now, there are multiple reasons why there might be a need for these conversations. The first thing, maybe you are, your team's getting a little bit complacent. Maybe they're underperforming. They're not following along with your expectations. Maybe they're just, not wearing uniform, or they're not getting enough done in the class. First of all, that needs to come back to you, making sure that you're very clear with your expectations, reminding them what your expectations are as well. So it's really important that they are aware. I've had long-term staff for a long time. So my staff, I'm happy to say the majority of my team have been there for 5, 6, 7 years. And so things shift, and I've had great teachers who get to a certain point and they're great and they're beautiful and they fit in, but all of a sudden they start becoming a little bit complacent. They start underperforming a bit. Again, just not following along with all those expectations that I set. And so it's at that point where I had to have tough conversations with the team. Again, if your studio is scaling, you may require your team to step up. They may need reminding that they're dance teachers first. Why are they there? Remind them why they're there. But having these conversations, it's hard. It's hard because I think because you love them generally, they are loyal and they are working hard or trying their best for you. You don't want to hurt their hearts, but it really is your responsibility to keep them informed, keep them moving and growing in order for your team to hum. Again, moving, if you are looking at that scaling of our studio or restructuring, you may need your team to really step up in a new direction. So this is where those conversations are going to be hard. Just be prepared. Be prepared for whatever comes as a result of that. But yeah, I hear you if you are going through this at the moment, or you feel like you need to be going through this. I've been there. I feel you. Okay. And finally, number 5 is dismissing a family from your studio. This is my story again. This was a second blatant breach of a studio policy, and it was one of our students who was bad-mouthing not one, but a couple of my teachers on social media. Now, this was actually witnessed by several other students who then reported it back to us. These particular students who reported it back to us aren't actually friends. They're not like a group who were all together watching it or shared it. We actually had 3 independent people come and tell us. So I put my police hat on and I interviewed each of these girls who reported them to get a whole story. So I know that there are 3 sides to every story. There's your side, there's their side, and then there is the truth. Now, I do take this on board. In this particular scenario, I didn't jump the gun. I listened to everyone who was involved in this, and I made my decisions moving forward from there. Now, I did speak to the mum, and I informed her of the situation. But I also said, like, I will always have my teachers back, and if they have been wronged, I will always stand up for them. And as a result of what had happened, I would not be putting them in a situation where they had to have her child in their class anymore after what she had said about them. Now, when I went into this conversation, I was very nervous. I obviously hate this sort of conversations. How it worked out, I didn't have time to organise a face-to-face meeting. It had to be on the phone because this child was due to come to the studio that afternoon and I wasn't going to have it. So I called the mum. We spoke. I went into the conversation. I offered alternatives. So she was welcome to change classes and no longer have those teachers, or I would refund the remaining term fees and the costume money and she could leave. And so, long story short, she decided to leave, thank goodness. Now, another little tip, which I'm going to start by saying legally you aren't allowed to record conversations without letting the other person know. Okay, it's against the law. However, in this situation for me, I had a second phone with me during this conversation and I was on the work phone speaking to her on loudspeaker, and then I just recorded me speaking to her on my phone. Now, I can't use this anywhere. Like, this information can't be used anywhere, but it was more so that I could just remember exactly how and what I said in the case, because I don't know if you can relate, but when you're having these conversations, you tend to get a bit nervous and you start talking fast and sweating and heart beating fast. Even though I've done this for so many years, I've had these conversations, I still feel like that. And so that was my backup, just for me and my confidence. And in case things turn nasty, and this particular situation did have the potential to do so. So that's why I have that. However, I am just saying again, you are not legally allowed to do this. That's my police officer side coming through. And I will always stand by my teachers. So if they know as well that I have their back. So that was like the really important part about this conversation. Although it was hard for me, it was really important for my teachers to see that and to see me action that as well. Okay, they're the 5 different scenarios. I'm sure there are other alternatives, but we'll just focus on those 5 for today. So the question is, how are we having these conversations? I wanted to interrupt this episode just for a moment to let you know something really exciting. In October of this year, I am launching my brand new program, Studio Balance. This program is for dance studio owners who want and need the processes and the simplest approach to setting your studio up for real growth. Studio Balance helps you identify, strategize, and implement every detail of studio setup, from systems and marketing to financial mastery and team leadership. I'm letting you know this now because I know many of you are starting to plan for the new year and how useful having this information will be. And with results like increasing enrollment numbers by 65% and adding revenue of $30,000, this is a program you do not want to miss out on. Right now, I'll be offering a bonus one-on-one implementation session for anyone who joins the waitlist and purchases Studio Balance. So if you want access to that, make sure you sign up to the waitlist. I'll leave the link in the show notes, or simply send me a DM on Instagram and I'll forward you the link. The email versus in-person versus on the phone. Now, in my perfect world, if you've listened to other episodes before, you know that I would choose to do this over a text message because I hate talking on the phone and I don't like confrontation. So that's what I would choose. But that is absolutely not the way to go. So don't listen to me. Okay. It actually just depends on a few things, how and the best way to have these conversations. Now, this is completely a matter for yourself. However, Things to consider. How long have they been working for you? What role or title do they hold in the position? What type of professional relationship do you have with them? I personally think as a leader, as the boss, out of respect, a face-to-face is usually the best way to have the conversation. It's definitely not the easiest, but it is the most professional way to do it. But then on other times, that might not be possible. So, like example of what I was just talking about with dismissing that family, it had to be a phone call because I didn't have the time to organize a face-to-face meeting with her. So the phone call had to do. Phone call is obviously a better option than email or texting, but yeah, still hard, but probably not as hard as face-to-face. So the benefits in person, and as I just said, I know that it's hard to actually get there and be there or meet up with them, however you're going to meet them, but you can read their body language and they can also read your body language. And so that way it's easier for both parties to respond. So as difficult as that is the best way. The benefits of being on the phone is you can hear the tone of the conversation. So although you can't see their body language, you can hear their tone. So if you're speaking with empathy, you can hear that you're feeling for them, you understand how hard this must be for them. But then the other benefit is once you hang up, you don't have that awkward end. So that leaving situation. So that is definitely a benefit. And the benefit with email, and I get that sometimes it would be via email, is that you have record of what you said and what they've said. So that is another good thing, just in case, again, if repercussions happen down the line, you can fall back on the record that you have. So my suggestions as you are going into these hard conversations are, number one, go into the conversation with a clear end goal. Okay, so make sure that you don't leave that other person unclear with what it is that you're wanting and you're trying to achieve. Be really clear with your intentions, communicate, and use non-emotive words. Now, when I'm saying this, I want you to try and not make it about yourself. So not make the conversation about you, saying things like, I'm so sorry, it really hurts me so much to say this. I really don't want to have this conversation. I feel so bad. Okay, remove yourself from the situation, because this conversation actually, although it might feel like it's about you, it's not. You want the conversation to feel like it's about the other person. And so in your words as you are speaking to them, try and consider not using how you're feeling and making it about you. The second point is to deliver with empathy. So acknowledge that you understand how they may be feeling or how uncomfortable this is for them. Or you could say, I understand this may be difficult for you to hear. So you're keeping your emotions out of it where possible, but you're letting them know that you understand that how they may be feeling right now. Again, going back to not using emotive words or emotive tones, like, oh, I feel so bad. This is so hard for me. Don't use that type of emotive words or feelings. And then you can always fall back. So I say to my studio owners when they're going into these sort of conversations, you can always fall back on I am running a business and sometimes I have to make hard decisions in the best interest of my business. And I will use that line quite a lot. And it's true and it's genuine. I'm running a business and sometimes have to make hard decisions in the best interest for the business. So you can borrow that. You can absolutely use that if you need to. Okay, number 3 is plan how you want the conversation to go. Now, this is obviously your part anyway, but have a think about how you want to start the conversation and then practice it, because chances are you will be nervous as soon as the phone starts to ring or you see them walk into your meeting place where you're having this meeting, and you may be sweating and heart's beating and all of the words might have gone out of your mind and you're like, ugh. But trust me, if you've practiced, then that's what's going to come out. So make sure that you even do dot points and just run through it in your head, so you have a bit of a path, a bit of an idea of at least how you want to start the conversation. And just make sure that it's a strong, good start using all the points that I'm talking about now. Okay, number 4 is think about all the possible responses. So think about anything they may say, anything they may do as a result of this conversation. Most probably, it's not going to go as badly as you anticipated, but you just want to be ready in case they may say or do something, and so you're prepared with a response. Now, I always will say to my girls, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst case scenario coming out of this situation? And it may be for those who, maybe you're getting rid of a teacher, it may be they say, well, fine, I'm leaving and I'm starting my own studio, right? So that might be the worst case scenario. It may be that they go and slamming on social media. So think about if that's what you're feeling. If you're thinking something like that's going to happen, then you have a chance to respond and react before it escalates any further. So just think about all those possibilities. As I said, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't go as badly as you think. So that's always good to go into a conversation thinking. And then finally, the 5th point is understand that you can't control how they are going to respond. So it does follow on a little bit from the point number 4, but if you follow the previous 4 points that I just spoke about, then you've done the best you can with the best intentions. So you can just simply be okay with that. So know that you're going in with the right heart, with a clear message, so they know exactly what your intentions are. You're delivered with empathy, so you understand how they might be feeling, how this situation may be difficult for them to hear, but keeping your emotions out of it is not about you. They don't care. Sorry, they don't care that you feel bad. They don't care that it's hard for you if you're having this conversation. So just remove it altogether. Remember to plan how you want the conversation to go because you've practiced it, and then think of the possible responses. So just in case they throw something at you, you know exactly how you can respond and react at that time. So they are the 5 points. They are my suggestions on how to handle those tricky conversations. I feel you. I personally don't think it gets any easier. I think that just the more prepared we are going into a situation, the better it can be for us. But, the fact that we are now planning for our new dance year, you may have to have some of these hard conversations. And I'm more than happy to hear about them. If you've got any questions, please reach out and I can give you some of my dot points if that's what you need. But if this is you, I want to send you all my love. I want to encourage you to put on your big girl pants or put on your big boy pants. Be brave. Have the chat. Stop putting it off because you have got this. You can do it. You can do these hard things. All right, everyone. I'll catch you next week. And that's a wrap for this week's episode. I'm so grateful to have you listen each week. If you found today's episode valuable, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate, 5 stars of course, and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback empowers me to keep delivering insightful content. To ensure you never miss an episode, hit that subscribe button and be sure to follow me on Instagram @_JenDalton_ and join our private Facebook group, Dance Studio Empire. Until next time, keep dancing, keep thriving, and keep building your dance studio empire.